As you know, we do celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th every year nationally. And this is yet one more of those opportunities to highlight the great contributions of Hispanics and Latinos here in Montgomery County. I first want to also announce that we do have interpretation services in the back over there if anybody needs to access those. She's raising her hand right there. There she is. Thank you so much for that. We also have quite a number of friends in the audience that I'd like to recognize. We do have our Board of Education Vice President, Dr. Daca, who's a great friend. We have Board of Education member Rebecca Smandrowski. We do have our MCPS Superintendent Jack Smith. Thank you so much for being here. And with him is MCPS Chief Academic Officer Dr. Maria Navarro, who is here with him as well. We do have Lilian Cruz, who is the Deputy Director, Constituency Services for Congressman Van Hollen's office, an extraordinary person who does so much on every single day, not just for the Latino community, but for Congressman Van Hollen's constituents. Thank you for being here. We have also Carla Silvestre, who is the Director of Community Engagement for Montgomery College. We have Gabe Albornoz, who is the Director of Recreation, an extraordinary friend and does a lot of work, and soon to be a dad again. Congratulations on that. Rimberto Rodriguez, who is the director of our Silver Spring Regional Services Center, always working so hard to help in that area. We also have Vicky Garcia, who is the representative for Congressman John Sarbanes. And we have Sonia Mora, who's the director of our Latino Health Initiative, who does extraordinary work. We also have the rest of you who are extraordinary VIPs, and we really appreciate you being here. Let me just say very briefly that, we do know, and you will see in a video that we're about to show, that the Latino community has continued to grow here in Montgomery County and nationally. And despite, what you might read or hear on the national level, the rhetoric that tries to paint this community as one that does not deserve the recognition that it actually should have, this is the community that continues to make incredible contributions to the fabric of our nation, but specifically here in Montgomery County. And so you will, in this video, hear and see the faces and the stories of many of our own Montgomery County residents who every day put their best forward to help really ensure the quality of life in our county. You will hear entrepreneurship stories. You will hear extraordinarily recognized journalists, advocates, young people who are dreamers, who are doing great things in education. And you will also get to meet later on other recipients of our awards who will be also featured in this video. With that, I think that we'll turn it over very quickly to watch this video, and then afterwards we'll engage in an extraordinary conversation with our amazing panelists. Ms. Healy.
Trabajadores.
Perseverantes.
Brave.
Honest.
Diversidad.
Respetuosos.
Dedicated.
United.
Auténticos.
Honestidad.
Passionate. National Hispanic Heritage Month is the period from September 15 to October 15, when people recognize the contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans to the United States and celebrate the group's heritage and culture.
I became owner of the very same station where I started doing radio. I do consider it an American dream. It's an achievement that can only be possible in America, this great country of ours.
Alejandro Carrasco came from the Dominican Republic in 1983. His long trajectory on the radio in Maryland includes interviewing dozens of Latin American presidents and top U.S. government officials. Alejandro is well known for his efforts to help raise funds for countless humanitarian causes in the U.S. and abroad. He has become a true liaison between the Latino and Anglo-American communities in the metropolitan area.
We have played a very important role, and not necessarily one that we thought it would be, but when we found out that the Hispanic community was easily taken advantage of. And when we found out that authorities need to connect with the Hispanic community, we realized that we had to become that bridge.
Llegué hace 11 años a los Estados Unidos como todos, sin el idioma, sin amigos, sin vecinos, sin familiares. Me apoyé en un asilo político y con todo el proceso y el acompañamiento de la comunidad y de gente que me ha tendido la mano, soy ciudadana de los Estados Unidos en este momento. Y eso no es que me da orgullo por ser ciudadana de los Estados Unidos, me da orgullo porque es un proceso que no he hecho sola, es algo que me ha ayudado la gente con la que trabajo, mis compañeros de trabajo en mi organización, porque somos como una familia. Entonces ha sido ese eslabón tras eslabón que me va llegando y que me permite aprender cada día.
Carmen is a community organizer. As a valuable leading member of Impact Silver Spring, she helps connect families to resources, services, and opportunities offered by a variety of local government agencies. She helps empower people from disadvantaged communities to discover how to play a role in social change.
Dentro de la comunidad hispana especialmente, existen muchísimos dones. Las personas vienen con una gran riqueza de nuestros países, cada uno, y nos encontramos con médicos, con enfermeras, con carpinteros, con albañiles, con la señora que hace excelentes pupusas y con alguien que ha trabajado en ingeniería geotérmica. Es decir, hay una gran diversidad profesional, hay una gran diversidad cultural.
Latinos represent 19% of the population in Montgomery County, and most come from El Salvador.
I'm proud of sort of the core belief that family is above everything, and that's really sort of what I believe in, and I think it actually even bleeds into the organization. You know, we actually have created a little family for ourselves, but we also, you know, are working for families.
Marla is the executive director of the Latino Economic Development Center. She helps hundreds of entrepreneurs who wish to start their own businesses or buy property. Marla is optimistic about the future of the Latino community in the U.S.
I think the sky's the limit. I think Latinos are really, you know, we're a growing population. I think we'll have a much larger voice as time goes on and get much more involved in local politics and national politics.
Angela is Colombian. She arrived in the United States 7 years ago, and her passion lies in the nonprofit sector, where she serves those who wish to have their own businesses. Through Life Asset, they get the startup funds and technical assistance that are key to the success of the entrepreneurs. Angela is happy to see how diverse communities are fueling the national and local economy. Latino businesses are creating jobs, promoting growth and opportunities for others.
I'm very proud to see how people that they don't even write and read Spanish. Some of them they have been very successful here, and they've been really good because they've been listening, you know, how to do things here. So when I see that is a lot of opportunities here, I just feel very proud to see all my community that is trying to make things happen, that they don't care about some obstacles or barriers that they can see in the way. Some of them, they are really committed to success. So that's what I've been seeing for many years.
15% of business owners in Montgomery County are Latino. Despite many obstacles, Maria never gives up and is currently the owner of 2 restaurants in Montgomery County, and she is looking to expand operations.
The dreams in this country have too many opportunities because I'm start clean the restrooms and in Democracy Boulevard in the building. I'm working in Burger King, I'm working in McDonald's and dry clean. I'm clean the house, I'm working babysitter. I'm working in caterings, and then we look at the visions and then say, why not?
Having a business is a family matter for this group. Maria's mom used to sell food in the street. She always dreamed of owning a restaurant. Now this abuelita makes sure everything runs smoothly in their 2 restaurants, and even has time to add her secret recipes to the food in the kitchen.
Yo quiero agradecer mucho a Dios, también a este país agradecer. Me vine por una necesidad, abandoné a mi familia, me costó muchas lágrimas, trabajo, sacrificio, pero nunca me quiero rendir, quiero seguir luchando para poder enseñar también a mis hijos, para tener una vida estable, ¿no? Porque tal vez mis hijos no van a tener la misma suerte que yo tengo.
Nancy arrived in the U.S. in 1988. She has a lot of experience in education and works with immigrant community members daily to make sure they can have a brighter future through education. Nancy understands the difficulties immigrants face that can prevent them from completing their education. She is proud to help many of them overcome the barriers they face.
One of the things that I'm proud of is a group that I run. I have women's empowerment group. I've been running empowerment groups for the past 16 years because I had different jobs in the community, but I always, part of my job, I do it as to run groups, and one of the groups is this one, and I'm very proud of this because I think moms in the community, like I say, you know, if they work 2 jobs or sometimes they stay home because they have a newborn baby, they have a little one that still doesn't go to school, so then it's very important for them to have this part of their time, you know, to come and to learn something new in topics that they're gonna benefit.
I was born here in the United States. My mother immigrated from El Salvador and my father immigrated from Peru. They met here in Washington, D.C., and I was born here along with my 2 brothers.
Monica is a social worker specializing in mental health issues. As a counselor for ACEs, she's a key player in the development and implementation of this educational program. Monica is committed to working with disadvantaged youths and is an example for them to follow.
ACEs is an amazing program. It works within a collaboration with the universities at Shady Grove, Montgomery College, and Montgomery County Public Schools. It is a phenomenal opportunity for students who are served in the 10 high schools that we are in.
More than 25,000 Latinos have a high school diploma. Luis and Cindy are in this group, and they are on the path to success.
I moved to the United States when I was 9 years old. My family was seeking, you know, the American dream, the classic American dream story, giving their children a better life. And so we moved from El Salvador to Maryland, where I've grown up for most of my life. And it didn't turn out to be exactly as they had hoped. Coming here as immigrants proved to be kind of difficult to gain employment. And so we struggled financially for a couple of years, moving from home to home, that kind of thing. And so it kind of set me on the path to make the most out of the opportunities that they had provided for me. And so I worked hard in school, and now I am lucky to be going to Georgetown University on a full scholarship.
Luis was one of 75 students nationwide to receive the prestigious Jack Kent Cook Scholarship for his college education.
I think that oftentimes students don't realize that they can do it. I was like that personally, and for a while I didn't think I could go to college. I didn't think I would be able to afford it, but it sounds a little bit cliche, but with hard work, it can be done. If you work hard, you can gain a scholarship to go to school. If you think you can't pay for it, there are opportunities that even Montgomery College offers. And don't be afraid to start off small. And I just think that our community needs to understand that it is doable, it is possible, and it's not just about doing it for yourself. I think we have a responsibility to do it for our community as well.
Cindy came to the U.S. when she was 11. She was one of thousands of children fleeing the violence in Central America. Cindy is now a student activist who's fighting for the rights of immigrant youths to have access to higher education.
the importance of education is that it opened many doors for you as if you only had a high school degree. If you keep going to school, you will not only meet different people that will help you, that will inspire you, but I mean, if you just wanted to be a business owner, let's say, if you want to open just one tiny coffee shop in this town, going to school, getting the degree for that will help you envision more. It will help you see, hey, I can do a franchise instead, you know? I could do a million things, you know, or I could be a teacher. The Head Start programs are amazing. And if a Latina can do that, a Latino can do that, to have a Hispanic teacher telling you, hey, you know, you can do it too. I think that's amazing because it inspires.
Cindy wants to be a great journalist, and she's already working toward that by volunteering at El Tiempo Latino. She's proud to be a part of two cultures and help represent the future of America.
Being who you are, being a minority in this country becomes significant, and it's a symbol of strength, and it's a symbol of courage, you know, in us just moving forward. And just the movements amaze me, you know, just every movement that goes on for minorities, I just love it because that means that we are empowering each other.
A Latino could definitely be president of the United States in the future, and I look forward to seeing that happen. Hopefully I'm alive by then.
Thank you for everybody, to everybody who participated in this incredible video, and I also want to recognize our communications unit who did a really good job. Sonia Healy, Neil Greenberg, and Andrea Sarralde, Berta Flores, everybody, all the videographers. It took a lot of work, and you guys did a really great job. I also want to recognize that we have two more members of the Board of Education who came, Jill Orman-Faust, as well as Board Member Chris Barclay. Thank you so much for being here and everything that you do every day. And so now we're going to turn to a panelist to have a conversation about just your views, what you do in your work and in the community. And then council members are, of course, invited to ask questions or make comments, et cetera. This is just a very open dialogue. We're going to start. I'm going to just read very briefly who everybody is, and then we'll just start here with Marla and engage in a conversation. So Marla Bilonic is the Executive Director of LEDC. She joined LEDC in 2012 as Director of Small Business Development after first working at the organization in 1999 as a microloan officer. Before LEDC, she was with Citco in New York, working with entrepreneurs impacted by 9/11. She is also experienced in international micro-enterprise development and microfinance. Thank you so much for being here, Marla. Armando Truel, second, we have Cindy Monge. They changed the order in my list here just to confuse me, keep me on my toes. She's a sophomore at Montgomery College. You just heard her speak. And Ms. Monge is a student activist majoring in political science and communications at MC. She immigrated to the United States from Guatemala 10 years ago, and she has volunteered in the political campaigns of President Obama, Vice President candidate Tim Kaine, and State Delegate Ana Sol Gutierrez. She has worked and advocated for the passage of the Maryland DREAM Act and is currently an intern with El Tiempo Latino. Thank you for being here, Cindy. Next, we have Armando Truel, who you probably have heard his voice many times on WAMU. He's the senior reporter at WAMU 88.5 FM. He's an Emmy award-winning journalist with more than 2 decades of experience covering local, national, and international news for TV, radio, wire services, and the internet. He's currently a senior reporter at WAMU and contributes to NPR, Telemundo DC, and El Tiempo Latino. And his series on the unaccompanied minor crisis has been really amazing and has been recognized and awarded for that. And so we really appreciate you taking the time to be here, Armando. Next, we have Angela Buitrago Neira, Senior Loan Officer for Life Asset. Ms. Neira has empowered more than 3,000 small business owners in the metropolitan area and has helped create more than 400 businesses, of which at least 98% are right now open and operating. She immigrated from Colombia 8 years ago. Before Life Asset, she was working for LEDC and Ana Jiménez University System. Thank you, Angela, for being here. And next to Angela, there's someone that I don't really know if I need to introduce, Grace Rivera Oven. Very small paragraph. I don't understand how that happened because I don't know. She just wears so many hats and does it so well. But Grace is the principal and owner of GRO LLC. And she is a professional her professional life is focused on public relations and marketing, and dare I say, lots of advocacy. Her lifelong commitment to helping others is evidenced by her involvement and advocacy on issues of importance to the Latino community. She also serves in several boards and commissions and has her own television program, Revista Semanal Montgomery. So I don't know how she does it, and she looks always so fresh and ready to go. But thank you, Grace, for taking the time to be here. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Marla to make some comments, et cetera, and get us started in this conversation.
Buenos dias. First, I just wanted to thank you so much for this opportunity. It's really an honor to be included on this panel, and even just wanted to also recognize the fact that the council is commemorating this Hispanic Heritage Month. I think it's really a testament to your commitment to the Hispanic population in Montgomery County, so I personally appreciate that. A couple of notes about myself. As the video mentioned, I was born in Panama. I actually came to Montgomery County as a toddler in the late 70s. So you can do the math there. And I actually went through MCPS from kindergarten through high school. I'm a current resident and homeowner in Montgomery County with kids in MCPS now. And so, this is also just from a personal standpoint very important to me to be participating in this and doing the work that I am lucky enough to do here in the county. I also wanted to give a quick shout out. I'm a current member of the Leadership Montgomery Core 2017 class, and I have at least two cohort members here in Hans and Jill. So just wanted to give those props there. So LEDC is a 25-year-old organization formed in 1991 to equip Latinos and other underserved communities with financial tools to improve their lives. We focus on asset building through homeownership and entrepreneurship. We serve over 5,000 clients a year in the region through technical assistance, one-on-one training, and financing services through our microloan fund, which gives loans a couple of outlying loans between $1,000 and $680, but the bulk of our lending to small businesses is $5,000 to $50,000. We have 33 bilingual staff. I'd say 99% of our staff is either ethnic or racial minority. And we've had a physical office space in Wheaton for over a decade. As you saw in the video, the Hispanic population in Wheaton is at 19%. That's 2% over the national level, which is 17%. 15% of businesses in Montgomery County are Hispanic owned, yet I did want to point out, and this is sort of our reason for being, which is that only 1.5% of overall business revenue in the county is taken home by those 15% of businesses that are Hispanic owned. So even though they may be starting businesses, there is a disconnect between them scaling up and really achieving their own, for the owners and the people they hire their own financial independence and wealth building capacity. And so that's where we try to intervene to help those businesses scale up. Just a point to make is that a commercial kitchen, if you're going to outfit it from scratch, costs $200,000. So, $5,000 is just a drop in the bucket for that. So, we recognize that we're probably going to be participating in a larger effort through our lending activity, but we do see that it makes a difference, particularly for those business owners, either because they're a startup or because of credit issues, do not have access to traditional financial services. Just some national data points that I thought would be interesting. Small businesses create 7 out of 10 of all new jobs nationwide. Hispanic-owned businesses between 2002 and 2007 grew by 44% versus the national average growth rate of 18%, and that trend has continued since 2007. Almost to the end here. Just a couple of notes as well around why Hispanic culture sort of lends itself to entrepreneurship, if I might make that leap. Of course, everyone knows our culture, style, music, and food has permeated U.S. pop culture, but Hispanics are entrepreneurial by nature and by culture. We have strong family and business connections, and those facilitate our ability to market informally. we aren't afraid of technology. In fact, Latinos are the biggest users of social media, and that's actually a fantastic avenue to promote business. And I think it's, I don't want to make sweeping statements of a general population, but I can say from myself, my family, our clients, and we do see a large volume of clients every year. Latinos are extremely hardworking. You heard Maria from Cantutas, mention all the jobs that she had prior to being a business owner. I don't know any of our clients that have ever shied away from really, the blood, sweat, and tears part of business ownership. And that's not something that you can learn. Either you have it or you don't. As I mentioned, LADC has been in Montgomery County for over a decade. We were recently selected to implement a program to support over 100 businesses in and around the Wheaton Triangle. Around 70% of these are Hispanic owned. This is really a testament to the county's innovative nature. They're looking to help preserve the businesses that are located around Wheaton Triangle, Lot 13, where the construction is going to occur. We work in different markets. We work in Baltimore City. We work in DC. This is the only example of a proactive program from the county that is looking to preserve businesses in light of redevelopment. And this really will preserve the fabric and the integrity of Wheaton. And I really appreciate that, both as a resident of Montgomery County and also as someone who's working to support small businesses and entrepreneurs in the county. So just wanted to thank you all for that. And that's really the extent of my comments. But thank you, Nancy, for your leadership on Bill 612 and for all of you for supporting it and for seeing it through to fruition. We're really, really proud to be your implementing partner on that one. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and Marlene, thank you for making those remarks. That bill, we fought hard for it, and I'm glad that it's being recognized. Cindy, let's hear from you next. And there's a button at the base of the microphone in Marla. Yeah, there we go.
Thank you so much.
First
First of all, I want to say thank you so much. It is an honor to be here. And just also a little bit about myself. I can't speak on a professional side because I'm not there yet, but just on my life experience as an immigrant and as a student here in Montgomery County, I have to say that I am very glad and I feel very happy and I'm very thankful for all that Montgomery County Public Schools have done for me. I came here when I was 11 years old, undocumented student, and since then I've been part of state of Maryland. I'm very glad to be here too. I just wanted to touch on, thanks so much to the state of Maryland and all the people who've been part of the Maryland Dream Act. I was one of the strongest activists and leaders of the movement itself that we passed in 2012. I want to say that Question 4 and all that we've done for it has done a lot for a lot of immigrant students who thought that maybe we couldn't go to school, we couldn't do much, but just high school. But I want to say that that's not enough. I'm very glad to be here because I've been wanting to point out, and part of my advocacy has been to push for more young Latinos to be in politics. I think that we've done very great. We're a young population of Latinos, but we have to keep moving forward. I'm stressing a lot about voters registration. We need a lot more Latinos involved in politics, a lot more people involved in politics. All of the Latinos that have become residents and that are able to become citizens should become citizens as soon as possible and go out and vote. That's something that I'm big on. I am a political science and communications major, and the reason for that is that I love to be a political campaign manager in the future, just so that I can, bring out a lot of issues that are happening and help a lot of other Latinos that want to come into power. I think that the educational system in Montgomery County Public Schools has been great. Now, with the new wave of immigrants that has been coming to the state lately, there's a lot to be done, and it's something that was unpredictable because it really just happened, a huge wave. I was part of a program in Montgomery Blair Public Schools where I went to high school, where we had about 40, 50 students coming in from El Salvador, from Guatemala, who needed to be placed in public schools. And I think that we need to move forward with programs that can help them build skills, because most of these students maybe never went to school or had a very limited education in their home countries. And I think we need to work on that also. And I believe, I was speaking to a couple of teachers the other day, I believe there's stuff that's being done, but there's a lot more to do with MCPS schools on that aspect. And I think that's all. Thank you so much. I'm glad for being here. I guess I'm the youngest one. I'm a little nervous, but thank you so much, Consul Nancy Navarro. And thank you so much, all of you, for being here.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Armando Trul.
Well, thank you so much, and I've got some tips for you.
Thank you.
First of all, Council Member Navarro, thank you for your kind invitation to speak here, and hello to all of the people that I have interviewed at one point or another here. And if I haven't interviewed you yet, don't worry, I'm going to get to you. I always run into George at the CVS in Tacoma Park, so I know exactly what he buys. I'm going to give you some news that is going to air on WAMU soon, but you're going to get it here first. There's a report that will be coming out on the state of Latino children in the United States. And one of the surprising things is that when it looks at poverty and when it looks at graduation rates, it finds that children in Maryland, Latino children in Maryland, are doing much better than Latino children in many other places in the United States. And when we speak about Latino children in Maryland, we're really speaking about Latino children in Montgomery County and Prince George's County. I mean, let's be real, right? So you're doing a good job with that. And also poverty rates, much better than they are nationwide, again, in Maryland. And again, it's because of the rich, of the vibrant economy here. So that's the good news. Obviously, the news that all of you are aware of is that when you compare Latino children to their peers here, to their white peers, to their black peers, they're not doing as well most of the time. So there is still a lot of work to be done. But good news in that respect. The other point that I wanted to bring out is that, again, as you look at Latino children, it's important that you understand that Latino children are not only are not monolithic with regards to where they come from, but they're not monolithic in regards to how long they've been here. So you have to differentiate between the recently arrived Latino children, the second generation Latino children who are U.S. citizens and can vote, and the third generation who are the children of those U.S. citizens. And that progression of Latinos in our community is happening now. It's really going on. And so each block of those children requires a different set of priorities or a different set of programs to help them be successful. And certainly, if the Latino population in this county is not successful, the county will not be successful. That's the reality. The numbers are there. The continued birth rate of Latino children of the second generation is increasing, and so is the third generation. So there is a vested interest in that. Now I'm going to pivot from there to my trip to Central America that I just finished. Ms. Monge was mentioning the surge of children in 2014. If you are aware or if you're not aware, the numbers this year are going to match or surpass the surge of children. There are 122,000 families and children that have been detained on the southwest border this year. And historically, the Metro DC region gets between 10 to 15% of those. And historically, Maryland gets about a third. So that's the reality. They're coming. They're on their way. Many of them are here. That is, that's inescapable. So as you begin to think about what you're going to do, remember that. The factors why it's happening, well, we continue to have the violence there. We continue to have extreme poverty. And the smugglers have changed their tactics. So the ability, what Mexico and the U.S. did in 2015 is no longer working. There are huge bottlenecks at the Mexico border with Guatemala. I was on a recent trip with some of your colleagues from Maryland. They could probably speak to that. And you have I saw a child from El Salvador, 15 and 16 years old, a couple. They had a 2-month-old baby born in a Mexican shelter. They were headed here. Didn't make it. All of the experts that I've spoken to speak about the revolving door of people who don't get to the border and get deported from Mexico back to El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and how they try to come back again. The violence that the violence that's going on in Central America right now is primarily gang violence, but there's also state violence. In El Salvador, the government there is now beginning to use military troops for control of for policing. And if we know in this country how difficult it is to do policing in minority communities, in a country where there is rule of law, in a country where the law enforcement is better trained and better prepared, you can only imagine what is happening in Central America when you have soldiers in civilian communities and where every young man that they see is suspect of being a gang member, just like sometimes in this community every young man of color is a suspect and a target. And so that is also part of what's driving the violence. And so these are realities that I saw there on the ground. And I want to leave you with one positive note that I saw in Honduras. And I think I think we can find people like that here in this community. I met a young man in Rivera Hernandez. It is probably one of the most violent communities in the world. It's been written about in the New York Times many times. This young man is 17. He was abandoned on a trash heap when he was 2 months old. He was picked up by a very poor family. He lived in a neighborhood where 2 streets down, they had what are called casa locas, which are the homes where gang members will torture and murder people and cut them up. And because he was a very bright kid at the age of 9, he was enticed to join the gangs, and he refused, and he refused, and he refused. So he was raped. And he began going to a community center at the age of 12, and then he began tutoring children at that community center. He began teaching them after school. Then he began raising money to get them books and to get them backpacks. And then he began raising money to have parties in the streets. And 5 years into this, he now is able to negotiate truces in gang territories so that those children can go on the street and play. He has garnered enough respect in that community that a kid who started with nothing, with less than nothing, on a trash heap, is now able to, just by sheer force of personality, create a tiny point of light in this horrible darkness. There are children like that in our community. There are children like that in not only Latino communities, black communities, and Asian communities, and white communities. There are people like that. And with no resources, they're able to just generate some light in this darkness. I think we should look for those people in our community because they will be people like Ms. Monge, they will be powerful forces in bringing about the very desperately needed changes that we all would desire to see. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Armando. Now we turn to Angela.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Council Nancy Navarro and all Montgomery County Council members. Thank you, everybody that is here in the audience, especially the life-fast entrepreneurs that we have here. So, a little bit about my background. I came almost 8 years ago from Colombia. My bachelor is business administration. I got my master's degree in project management here. I started working with LEDC, where I learned everything that I know about technical assistance and work with entrepreneurs. Marla was my boss when I was there. Working with entrepreneurs has been amazing, and have the opportunity to work with more than 4,000 people around Montgomery County has been amazing. Just to see how people can start with something really, really simple, and then they just grow. They just need, an opportunity to grow. So I've been witness all that kind of successful histories around many immigrants, especially Latinos, that they open, like a very small business, and then right now they have like 20 employees, or they are hiring more people, and that's the way that we need to do things here. So now I'm working with Life Asset. We are a nonprofit organization based in DC, but we serve all Maryland, Virginia, and DC. So far, we have 85 clients in Montgomery County. Some of them, they are in the back. Our priorities work with women, and we work in a different model. We are trying to reply the Grameen model that it was started in Bangladesh many years ago. And what we do is we want to work with all those people that they don't have any opportunity to get a loan. We do loans under $5,000. We don't ask for any credit score, any collateral, any guarantee, but we ask for something that is called social collateral. So that is mean that each person need to form a group of at least 3 persons or 3 ladies, and each person can apply for a loan. The first loan is up to $1,500. And we don't ask for any legal status. I just want to say that. We don't ask for any collateral credit score. Each person apply for the loan, and the idea of that is that they need to understand that they need to work as a community, as an entrepreneur community, that they can support each other. So we meet with all those entrepreneurs every 2 weeks because we want to see, the progress that they've been doing with their business. Most of our clients, they just got, this first loan, and for a lot of people, they say, well, what you can do with $1,500? A lot. So they just need to, just legalize their business. They just need to do their website, or maybe they just want to get a table in a market. That's pretty simple. That's what you can do with less than $1,000. So that's the kind of people that we want to serve. Like I said, so far we are very proud just to see that we have running in Montgomery County with this model around 38 businesses that I've been working with them very close. And now they are hiring people. At least they have 1 person each, part-times, maybe seasonal, but at least they are hiring people. And for me, that's when you really impact community, when you help another families to grow. And I will say that Life Asset is giving an opportunity that for those people that nobody else wants to work with them, because different reasons. They don't have credit scores, maybe they don't have any credit here, they just got here from their countries, and they don't know how the system works. So we have a lot of Latinos in our portfolio. We have a lot of different immigrants around the world, but pretty much we really feel very proud about this model that is working so well. Even we don't ask for any guarantee. They just feel committed that they need to repay their loan, because after 6 months, they can apply for the second loan that is up to $5,000. So the catch is that everybody in the group need to be in good standing to ask for the second loan. So it's just amazing just to see how you can help community and how they can learn from each other. So that's how we are doing in our meetings, The best person to teach you how you run your cleaning business is just ask somebody that has been doing business for almost 10 years or 12 years. So they know exactly, what is the marketing tool that you need to use, or what is something that you need to do in order that your business grow. So pretty much that's what we are doing. We are really thankful just to see, the response that we are having from the community. And now they don't feel afraid just to ask. They just want to ask and see, I have this skill. Just can you give me an opportunity to get some money to start? And that's what we are doing now. So I just want to say thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. And we are just really, we are hoping to have an office here maybe next year in Montgomery County to try to serve all these entrepreneurs, and that way they don't have to go all the way down to DC. But that's something that we hopefully we can get in the next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Angela. And last but not least is Grace Rivera.
Buenos días o buenas tardes, los dos. Buenos días, buenas tardes. Thank you so much for having me here. Let me just start by saying that I am delighted that Councilmember Navarro, Nancy, I think you are one of those people that Armando was talking about, one of those people who have that light, and I thank you for your leadership and always your support with the community. I also want to say happy birthday, shout out to my council member, Craig Rice. We won't say how old he is because after 40, you just don't reveal that, right? Correct? So just a little bit of background on me. I was born in Bolivia and my mom immigrated here, and I would like to recognize her. She's watching this live right now, and she's at home. So Graciela Andre, which is my mom, came, and she's a courageous woman, like many women who come to this country, and they start from scratch, and they make something of themselves, and they raise hopefully good children. I'm an only child, so. And with that, we learn from our parents. So I want to say a couple of things. You are right. I do wear a lot of hats. And one of the hats I'm going to put on right now. Oh, hello, Steve. I actually serve with Steve on the ICB board. But one of the hats I'm going to put on right now is my hat as a member of the Board of Elections. We do have an election coming up. The last day that you can actually register by 9 p.m. is October 18th, and I expect everybody who can to do so. And you can also register on early voting, and there's no excuse for anyone not to vote because we actually have 10 sites in our county to do so. So please make sure you go and vote. I don't even have to tell you why. Just do it. And with that, I am going now to put my other hat on, which is a long-term advocate for many areas. I started advocating at the age of 16 when I was a junior at Gaithersburg High School. One of our classmates was actually killed by a drunk driver, and we started Students Against Drunk Driving, SAD. And then I got involved in supporting a mayoral race in my city of Gaithersburg, which I know Councilmember Katz from all the way back then, and supporting the race that was Mayor Board was running, and it opened my eyes to the whole world of politics and advocacy and the importance of getting involved in your community. The importance of knowing that even one person can make a difference. That is what I was taught, and I think I practice that as much as I can every day. And you're right, I run out of time during the day. I do have 3 children and a wonderful husband who supports all the different hats that I wear. So shout out to him. And my kids also are a product of Montgomery County Public Schools. My youngest is a freshman at Clarksburg High School. And every day for us is Hispanic Heritage Month in our home. I want you to know. So with that being said, I have a heavy heart today because of what happened in Long Branch, and I think I would be doing a disservice if I were not to mention that incident. It is an incident. I have been involved in many cases, from supporting victims of horrific crimes, from the Tello case, the young man that was killed many years ago because he was gay and allegations that he was gay, to many other horrible incidents in our community. But this one takes the cake. This one for me it became very personal. Like many immigrant families, my family also lived in an apartment building that was not in such a great condition when we first came. So it touched a very personal chord in me. And to have worked so closely, especially with one of the moms who lost her child, her 3-year-old, it truly, and I know what Armando said about how, there's good news. Well, there's not good news in Long Branch. That's not good news. And when I was at the funeral for those 2 little boys, seeing those 2 little white caskets with these moms mourning their children, I kept asking myself, what am I doing here? Why are we even here? Could this have been avoided? And I hope that each and every one of you who are up there visit the site, because I don't think you can truly understand what these folks went through, the hell that they went through that night, until you visit the site. And the torment that they're going through, many families are going through now, the psychological trauma that they're going, the children that are relieving this every day because they live next to the explosion and they have to walk by these two buildings every day. Andrea is 4 years old, and she was sitting next to me at the funeral, and she was best friends with one of the little boys. And she was so composed, and as soon as they brought the caskets into the church, she held on to me and she said, "Why did he die? Why did he die?" And she just started sobbing. And she said, "I should have given him my ducky." But it brought to me the fact that I really could not give her a good answer. And so many other families in this county live in situations where they don't feel that they can go to the authorities or they don't have access. And I want to talk about language access a little bit. I want to talk about the fact that that night there was such a lack of triage in Spanish for these families. There was such a lack of follow-up for these families. There was such a lack of the fact that they had to use some of the children to do the translation that night. That is unacceptable. So even though we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, I am asking you, begging you, that we need to do better. We really do. And we need to look in the mirror as a county. I think we're at a crossroads. I was talking to Maria Navarro a little earlier about the statistics of K through second grade. Over 50% of the children in our schools are Latinos. We need to do better. There's no reason why if a child doesn't speak English, that child doesn't mean he's not gifted or talented. We need to do better. We need to address, we need to find ways to make that achievement gap smaller. These kids are smart, I'm telling you. I saw them. I was there every day since the explosion. I took 2 weeks off from work, and I want to thank my employers for giving me those 2 weeks off, by the way. But with that, I want to say to you, I know there's going to be legislation coming up, and I think Mark is one of the people who's going to be introducing for the rights of tenants. And I think as a community, we need to do better, and we need to support those changes, because there's many others, not just in Silver Spring, but in Gaithersburg and other areas that are living in such conditions. And ironically enough, some of these families that were giving alternative homes from these Long Branch apartments were moved to Northwest apartments of New Hampshire near St. Camilla's, which they're just in bad condition as the ones that they were living in. We need to do better. So with that being said, I want to recognize a few other folks that you might not hear of so often, but these are some of my local heroes and Latinos who stepped up to the plate after the explosion, and they really had no reason to do it. No personal, political, none. Dr. Alberto Martinez took his team of doctors that Saturday after the explosion and came to the Care for Your Health clinic and saw patient after patient. And not only did he see them, but he gave them free follow-up at his offices in Rockville. And he's still till this day seeing patients from the blast. And he provided free glasses to anybody who needed it. Dr. Carlos Picone, a pulmonologist, he actually, such an angel, he actually saw one of the many victims, and one of them was the mom of one of these children who had smoke inhalation and had not been treated properly, and saw her repeatedly, gave her the medication. But not only that, he donated hundreds of inhalers to the Mary Center to Care for Your Health because this was such a great need when this happened. And then Father Jasek, aka Padre Jacinto, from St. Camilla's. What a great person. What a great human being. Yes, he's a priest. Yes, we expect that from priests. But dude, he went the extra mile. Okay? He actually is amazing because he's already dealing with a community that has a lot of other needs and issues. And yes, St. Camilla's became a refuge for hundreds and hundreds of the victims of this fire. And I know you heard on the news that there were only maybe 100 people. Let me clarify that for you, since I was there from day one. There were 100 people that went to the shelter that night. And many of them decided not to go because they were afraid, because there were police officers at the shelter. So many went with friends and relatives and families around. And even those who went to the shelter decided that they just psychologically could not handle it. Because when the lights were out and people were sleeping, you would hear the screams of people. And they could not take it. So people like Esperanza, who lost her 3-year-old son, decided to go and stay with friends and sleep on a hard floor for 2 weeks because she just could not take it. So I'm asking you for Esperanza, for the 2 little boys that lost their life that probably should not have, and the other 5 victims, that we truly need to do, as we say in Spanish, revisar nuestra conciencia, review our conscience and look in the mirror, and truly say, did we do the best we could? And if we didn't, how can we make things better? And I hope and pray that that's going to be the case. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace, and thank you for everything that you do. The one comment that Armando Truel made resonated with me, which is very true, that, as we're looking at the numbers and the projections, and I've said this before many times, we sometimes refer to our communities as sort of subgroups or niche communities. The reality is that's long not been the case, and especially in the Latino community, as we've seen the extraordinary demographic changes and the projections. We're part of the mainstream. This is who we are. We're part of this county. And as Amanda said, if the Latino community doesn't do well, the county doesn't do well. And it's the same for many of the extraordinarily growing communities in our county. And so I've always been a believer that unless we recognize our challenges, we cannot address them. And we should not shy away from recognizing our challenges and working towards doing whatever we can. And I think that I can speak from my experience serving on this council, that all my colleagues have continually gone above and beyond, doing whatever it takes to constantly find ways to not only address issues of education, address issues in HHS, address issues in the land use. It is a constant thought around how do we, as such an extraordinarily wealthy county, make sure that we are responsive to everyone. And I feel like, in a way, it's interesting because we do reflect the nation, such a wealthy nation with, of course, lots of other challenges. And so if we cannot figure it out here in Montgomery County, where can it be done? And I am certain and hopeful that we will do that. And so all the partners that are in the audience, starting with our leadership at the school, starting, with HHS leadership, I saw some parent activists here, Antonio Cardoso Hernandez, who's been extraordinary parent leader in Montgomery County Public Schools, Gloria Bonilla, who works for Montgomery College. I mean, there's just so many people constantly doing whatever they can to make sure that every single resident in the county has an opportunity. But I think tragedies like these obviously just put the magnifying glass on something that we will examine very carefully, and we will do everything possible to provide support. And by the way, the bill that you mentioned has been introduced and has had a number of work sessions. So we will continue to work on that. With that, let's see, I think Councilmember Berliner has his light on, and I don't know which is the other one. Maybe it's mine, so I'll just turn mine off. Rice after Councilmember Berliner.
Well, let me begin by thanking my colleague for this wonderful program today and for your initiation and for your leadership. And let me thank all the panelists, really, for your contribution to our community. Gracie, for your eloquence. Armando, for, I think, the words you said, much like Ms. Navarro observed, that if the Latino community does not succeed in Montgomery County will not succeed. It is so true. It would be true of any population that represents 20%, a fifth of our community. So it's one of the reasons why, as Ms. Navarro and Mr. Hucker and I have been working very closely, with LEDC and Life Assets, because Montgomery County does not today have a microloan program. And we will be introducing legislation that will hopefully support LEDC and Life Assets in this regard, because as you said, Marla, there's just no question that the Latino community is so entrepreneurial. And as you said, Angela, what it needs sometimes is just this little bit to allow that spark to just go crazy and create jobs and change communities. And so I've been working, as you know, 4 months, and our staff is poised now to roll out this legislation, again with Ms. Navarro and Mr. Hucker, because this is so important to our future. So I thank you for all you have done and look forward to working with you and strengthening this community that is so important to the future of our county. Thank you.
Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to my colleague, Councilmember Navarro. You have certainly outdone yourself here and have set up a great program. And I want to pick up on something that you said. And let me just say that I'm so proud to represent a person like Gracie. You heard the passion in her voice and her tenacity for fighting for others who oftentimes either feel as though they don't have a voice or that sometimes their voices are muted. And so I thank you for your advocacy. But Councilmember Navarro, I want to pick up on something that you said because I think it's extremely important and an important point. We have to recognize our challenges. And so in a time in which we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, the truth is that there is a war going on right now, a war that truly jeopardizes our community, our society, our world as a whole. And it's a war of misunderstanding. It's a war of assumptions. It's a war of racism. It's a war of folks that don't understand that just because a person is different from you doesn't mean that somehow they're lesser than you. Somehow they can't achieve. Somehow they don't contribute to the overall well-being of our communities. And it needs to be said. It needs to be said very loud and clear so that people know that it's not acceptable and also that it's not going to help us to prosper. The reality is that I've been very frustrated with my own community that oftentimes is at war with our Latino and Hispanic communities. The reality is that we're fighting over scraps when we should be excelling to the top. We represent some of the greatest minds in the world, some of the greatest ideas, the entrepreneurial spirit that we continue to see with folks that struggle with language that still come here and persevere and do so well is something that a lot of folks in my community should emulate. I think these things need to be said. We need to have these conversations and be real about what's out there that's keeping us from getting to that true point of success. I want to say that, what Councilmember Berliner said and is talking about entrepreneurism and really making sure that our businesses thrive. Look, I want to see a even greater Montgomery County, an even better Montgomery County that encourages the success of all people. That makes sure that regardless of whether English is your second language, regardless of what country you came from, that this place is poised to ensure that you and your children and their children will be successful. That should be our promise to every single person that steps foot and lives in Montgomery County. Not tied to immigration status. Because the reality is that people are living in our communities, in our neighborhoods now that are contributing to our success. I don't ask them to show me their citizenship card. When those children are playing alongside my children at the playground, my daughter doesn't say, "Hey, are you a citizen? Can you be my friend?" So why should we? We've lost sight of some of the things that are so basic in terms of us living together as one. And I feel that on Hispanic Heritage Month, it was important to say that truly, when we are one, we've lost all of the labels and we've gotten ourselves together as one community, one Montgomery County. And so I really want to thank you Councilmember Navarro for being a partner. You and I, being representatives of the community, we don't own these issues, but we certainly have unique perspectives about some of the challenges. And I think that we continue to bring those to the highlight, to the forefront of our collected body here. And as Councilmember Navarro said, every single one of the folks up here on this dais understand and get it. The challenge is that we've got to make sure that our greater community gets it as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Elrich.
I want to thank Nancy also for putting this together, and I really appreciate the panel that spoke today. I want to say, I appreciate, Grace, that you talked about the legislation that I'm trying to bring forward, because there are things we control. We control the quality of housing. Frankly, we have the ability to set floors on wages, then be sure that people go home every day with enough money in their pocket to pay for the things they need. I think we control more than we like to admit we can control. And there are some things we can't control. But those things the government can do, it ought to do. And it shouldn't be an ideological question. I mean, we may have somewhat different ideologies. It ought to be what solves the problem question. And if the answer doesn't lie within your political belief system, then you may not have to adopt a different belief system, but you ought to look for an answer. And I think we have to commit ourselves to doing that. I used to think that, the high water mark of racism and all that other crazy stuff was in the 70s, and I thought that things had begun to retreat. And there is no retreat. And I think that the economics of what's happened in this country do set people apart, and they do make people afraid, and they leave people insecure. I mean, I think about, and we can have a long discussion about the remark about deplorables, but frankly, I think the people who are called deplorable are the flip side of racism. Racism has two coins, and it damages, both sides of that coin damage different parts of the community. And you're not going to solve the problem on one side without figuring out how you deal with the problem on the other side. And so I think people say deplorable and horrible things. I think people are terrified of what their life prospects are, living conditions which offer them very little hope also, and that it's very hard for people in that kind of situation to be generous and forward-thinking. I think we've dehumanized a large portion of our population. And we could talk about video games and desensitizing people to violence and add to that. But I think it's important that that the community continue to speak out. And I think we need to recognize the challenges to speaking out, that they're really real. It's not an anecdote that people are afraid to talk to government. It's a reality that people are afraid to talk to government. It is not a few people, it's probably a lot of people. And we have to recognize people come from environments when talking to the government and talking about your landlord, for example, would be a death sentence. That's reality. And people don't necessarily forget that. People don't understand necessarily how different things are or adapt an entirely different attitude to life because they've come here. Everybody brings their perceptions and their experiences with them, and it takes time to change people's perceptions and experiences. So I look forward to everybody's continued participation. I spoke yesterday at a CASA event, and it was really cool because I spoke in English because my French is terrible and my Spanish is limited to present tense, and I have a really hard time. I can understand it better than I can speak it. And after I would speak, somebody translated into Spanish and somebody translated into French. And there were almost as many French speakers in that room as there were Spanish speakers in that room. It was really a remarkable event. But the uniting theme of that was talking to people about participation and about why they need to participate in this system and why they need to articulate their needs. And I was really glad that CASA put that event together because I thought there were a lot of people in that room. And it had to be more than the Peruvian chicken. And they were really motivated. And I talked to some of the workers afterwards. And I think we need more of that. And we need more open discussions where people are, encouraged to come to us and talk to us. So thank you for doing this, Nancy. And thank you all for all the things you're doing in your communities.
Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and thank you very much, Council Member Navarro, for doing this event today and for having us be involved in it. Yesterday, Grace mentioned Gaithersburg High School. Yesterday, Dr. Smith and Rebecca Smondrowski and many delegates and myself went to Gaithersburg High School to see the new school. It's new, I guess, 3 years ago already, but it's new to many of us. And it's a very different building than was there when now Grace did go a few years after I went there. I'll admit to that, but it's a very different building than it is today. But it still has that same spirit that it did when each of us at different generations were there. And it's about 50% Latino. I believe my numbers are right. But as you go through the school, there's still the Trojan pride. There's still a community that comes together. There is still a community that makes certain, and I know this is duplicated throughout Montgomery County Public Schools. My wife works for the school system. My daughter works for the school system. And I know it's duplicated throughout the school system where our children who come from a variety of places today, but that our children are receiving an education to make certain that their lives are good today and even greater for tomorrow. I've always maintained that community is my family, and it gets all of us get a little corny when I say it, but it really is. I believe we're one community. I believe we are one family. I believe when one succeeds, all of us succeed. And I believe whenever there's a problem, that a family comes together as a family and helps correct it. And Grace, I sincerely appreciate the fact that the only way we can solve problems is to know of our problems. And sometimes you want to admit to them, and sometimes it's easier to say, let's go into another situation. But the only way we can solve them is to talk about them. I can tell you, as a grandchild of an immigrant family, and I thank goodness that my grandparents came to America, and I can tell you, I thank goodness pretty much every day, because I realized that if they hadn't done it, I'm somebody that believes nobody should ever leave Montgomery County, Maryland, so I know that I wouldn't have immigrated. But I sincerely know if they had not done it, the life that I would probably be living today, if I were lucky enough to be living, would have been a very different place. So I thank each and every one of you for doing what you're doing. I thank each and every one of you for working with us, and I thank each and every person in the community to, when we do something right, please let us know, but when we do something wrong, please let us know even faster. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you so much. Really a wonderful discussion, and I just wanted to respond with a thought that it is because of the growing challenge in the classroom that, for me personally, it was one of the reasons why I was so passionate about making sure that our school system has the resources to provide quality education for every child, and was really proud to be part of the council budget process this year, where we devoted additional funds that have resulted in reduced class size and also increasing funds available for school construction. I think that is really an area where we can have so much impact in such a positive way to make sure that every child, no matter where they live in this county, has real opportunity to get a great education. And of course, I'm always proud to support our county's policies to ensure that everyone has access to affordable health care, even people who are not documented. And I think that's an area where our county really shows great leadership, and it's just something to bear in mind in these times that we're in. Now, I hate to be the one who gets political, but there's a phrase called sorry, not sorry. This would be a very different discussion today if there was not a member of the county council who was elected and was of Latino heritage. So Nancy Navarro, has served now at this county council with great distinction and is one of our leaders on so many issues, from fiscal policy, to education, to raising awareness about the community that we are and what our future really holds. So Nancy, in my opinion, is also a great example of why proponents of term limits are incorrect about what term limits might achieve. Academic research shows that across the country, term limit legislation results in less representative elected bodies, that people of color are, hold fewer elected positions as a result of term limits rather than more elected positions. And I think Nancy might be an example of that if this term limits ballot question that is on the ballot in November prevails, because that initiative was drafted specifically, in my view, to prevent Ms. Navarro from running again. And in fact, the proponent of the legislation drafted twice attempted previously to pass term limits and did not include a provision that said a partial term counts as a full term, basically. And this time, after having lost to Ms. Navarro in an election, wrote language into the ballot amendment that would result in her being disqualified for running again for office. So what's the likelihood that a Latino or a Latina candidate would prevail in District 4, in the next election? It's possible, it certainly is possible, but it's not known. And I just, it would be a sad day to have this same discussion here and not have a leader on the dais for the community to see, themselves in. And so I hope that everyone here today will give their all to ensure that our elected body continues to be responsive to the community. And that means electing council members if they're effective, and no matter how many terms they might have served, if that's what the community wants to see. So thank you very much, Mr. Navarro, for convening today's discussion.
Well, thank you. Oh, and
If I could
President
just wrap
Fareed.
up, at least from the council members' comments, I just wanted to say to the panel and frankly everyone in this room, you are Montgomery County. You have our spirit, you have our investigative spirit, you have our caring and commitment, you reflect our creativity, you reflect our entrepreneurialism, and you are our future, no question about it. And so your stories are really important. They're a reminder to everyone. You've heard from Councilmember Rice about its implications across the board throughout Montgomery County. We as a council are committed to all the values you've espoused, all the concerns you've raised, and all the spirit you've shown. And I'm really feeling very positive about our future together. You are in the game. You're doing so much for our community as a whole, not just the Hispanic community and Latino community, and that's what's important about us and about you. You are a real statement of who we are, and that makes me, and I think all of us, look good and feel really proud about where we are. So I want to thank Councilmember Navarro for making this happen. It's a really important statement, an opportunity to have a really useful conversation about our future. You can stay tuned. We will be talking about the fire a little bit this afternoon.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to invite all my colleagues to the front. We're going to give awards to each of the participants, and then we'll take the customary photo. I mean, what would this be without the customary photo? So let's do this very orderly and quickly. did an amazing job. There you go. Okay. Thank you so much. Well, why don't you go that way or everybody's going to line up. And of course, the next one will be, we have Monica Burgos. Is Monica Burgos here? We have Carmen Hernandez. These are folks who were part of our video, so everybody gets an award. Carmen Hernandez. There she is. She's real popular, Carmen Hernandez is. Gracias, Carmen. Okay, allá, mira, allá con ella. Para la foto. We have Nancy Lasso. Nancy Lasso. Coming over, there she comes. Cindy Monge as well. Okay, and Cindy, you can come this way as well. We're going to take a really cool photo in a minute. Angela Huitrago Neira. María Peredo. Ok. Para que venga el papá y el hermano de María están aquí. Felicidades. La mamá está aquí. Bueno, venga también aquí para el premio. Ay, gracias. Muchas gracias por venir. ¿Eso es para mí? Ah, bueno, lo voy a compartir con el resto del de los concejales. I'm going to share this with everybody else. Graciela, of course. Gracie Rivera Oven. There she is, schmoozing as usual. Y Armando Trull. And again, congratulations, Armando, for everything that you have accomplished. This is really awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll take a photo now. All right. And since we're all trying to just be really funny, I'm going to accept these flowers and kind of look like a Miss Universe in honor of a certain Miss Universe called Alicia Machado, who's from Venezuela. We look so much alike.